Hello, it's Scott from Early to Primary Essence, and we're moving on to a further training video. In this case, we're looking at each child's individual file, what information is there and how you can use it basically. So when you log in, you'll have a menu icon, top left, blue, and the pencil, when you select it, you'll see represents reports, assessments, observations, and then we've got a few other features that I'll provide training in separately, which is moderation file, the different analytical reports, observation reports, and how we can edit historical data if we need to, if we moderate. So first, the individual child. Now, this functionality is the same almost right through the system. You're always going to select the year group of the child. If you've got multiple classes, they'll appear there. And obviously the child's name. Now, basically, once you get a significant volume of observations, you can look at them newest first or oldest first. Newest first generally is what you'll use because you're reflecting on the child's learning up to date. Okay, once you've loaded that child's individual area, report area, then the first place you land is the default report page. So depending on whether you create them, because your administrator will decide, you can use flags to quickly communicate something to parents. In this case, it's timekeeping, i.e. good, attendance, reading at home, and if they're bringing water bottles. Now that'll be specific to your setting and something the administrator will discuss with you as part of staff training. You'll get a quick summary of observations this year and total observations the child's had while they're in your setting. It'll also be a reminder of any you've forgotten to publish that you might have overlooked from the quick links section. Now, this here is like a diagnostic and creates next steps, and it's based on what you did when you were tagging to the observations, the aspects of learning and the characteristics. So it's default set aspects, and if you go into how a child's learning, then by aspect and the age and stage they are currently levelled at, you'll see that it acknowledges the learning that you said has taken place, is embedded, and it will identify any gaps in learning. Okay, so in effect, you can create a second column, which is next steps per aspect. Obviously, that becomes a lot more meaningful as you work your way into the first term. Also, when there's parental access, or also for practitioners, then there's what adults can do and what adults can provide, again, based on the age and stage they're currently working at. That can be a really meaningful way of communicating with the parent how they might facilitate learning at home. And then quickly on the side, you've got the ability to edit and develop a pupil report. So you can build this up during the year, and basically you've got your different areas that you can comment on, but it can be a meaningful report after 3 weeks because it only generates if you actually make a comment. So all those subheadings or areas will not generate on a report unless you enter text into them. Now, obviously, even if you've entered it, you can edit it, build on it during the year. So in effect, at the end of the year, you could just be summarising learning. You know, highlights, next steps. Basically then, that will produce a printable report. Now, the printable report will only appear after you've baselined the child in that year, simply because it needs development levels to base the report on. If it says archived reports, that's previous years. So, printable report, view it. Basically, your administrator will be able to personalise that with your own logos, mission statements, and There's the general information on ages and stages, and also the minimum legal information you have to have on that child in the report. This again is determined by the administrator whether you communicate that to parents, and then you've got your observations. So after you've taken 1, 2, 3 or 4 observations in those first few weeks, you do actually have a meaningful report to discuss with parents, something you can look at parents' evening, and also something you can quickly transfer to a receiving school that the child's moved to. Now, the system and the package is multilingual. So to communicate with parents in written form, then you can translate the report. So the relevant home language is there. You can select that home language and obviously either electronically communicate that with the parent or save that as a PDF or print it as a file. This translation facility is throughout the website. Anything you see within the report can be generated in a home language. When you get parental access and they log in, they can translate the package from login, so all the information they receive, learning journey reports, attainment, is in the home language. And obviously, conversely, they can add comments in their own language that you can translate back, which is really useful, really powerful.